Hello, Kaiju Lovers. Here's Nathan getting ready to have a Christmas special here for you.
Max, fetch me my sedative.
I don't have any sedatives and my name's not Max, but if you want to live stream with me, that'd be cool.
But what would I wear?
What you're wearing right now?
That's it, I'm not going.
Well, sorry about that. My guest is checked out. I guess we just had the shortest Christmas special ever of all time. Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. Okay, come on. Sit down, you crazy Grinch lady, Grinch girl. Is that what the Grinch calls all of his fangirls? Are they Grinch girls?
Hope not. That sounds a little odd.
It sounds a little odd. Okay, I get some headphones on you there.
Glasses.
Something the Grinch doesn't need, right?
I guess not.
So yes. Once again, hello. And in case you're wondering, this is my real sister.
What? You have one of those?
Yes, I have one of those. Are you surprised?
I hope not.
I hope not too. You might remember, you've heard her on the podcast before.
Nuh-uh. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you're playing so coy here like you always do. Yes, you haven't been on as a guest, you've been on as a voice actress.
I'm a woman. Thank you very much.
Yes. We use proper terminology around here.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you have been playing Jessica Shaw, aka Crystal Lady, on the show, which is what we're going to be talking about in the Patreon exclusive, the MIFV Max exclusive part of this little episode after we talk about a movie. And the reason I talked you into doing this interview, I was going to say, the reason I talked you into doing the interview is because you wanted to talk about this movie. And you might be surprised to find out, Kaiju Lovers, what movie that is. Yes. Welcome to MIFV Max number 15, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, specifically the 2000 version starring Jim Carrey. You might be thinking, what? Why are you covering this? Well, I'll tell you why we're covering this. It's Christmas, and I wanted to do a holiday-themed episode, but let me tell you, holiday-themed kaiju material is a little hard to come by. There's some in the just general tokusatsu realm, but those are mostly just episodes of television. Like a weirdo episode of Ultraman Ace, where the villain of the week is some sort of Japanese deity who is upset that Japanese people are celebrating a foreign holiday like Christmas, so he unleashes a monster to punish them.
The Grinch? Oh.
No, you would think. You would think. That would just make sense. Also, Santa Claus shows up in that, and he's father of Ultra.
Huh.
So, yes, according to Ultraman, Santa Claus is an Ultraman.
Interesting.
Yeah. But that's not what we're talking about.
Nope.
So you might be thinking, but why this movie? Well, I would make the argument it's tokusatsu. It has lots of special effects. Most of them are practical. Even though I don't think that tokusatsu has to be strictly practical effects, there are a lot of practical effects in this.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much CGI as you would think.
Nope.
It has suitmation and makeup, as we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I bumped my microphone. It's a fantasy story.
Slapping the people. Gee.
Yeah, I know. It's a fantasy story. It's aimed at family and kids, which not always the case with tokusatsu, but generally speaking. And as you were explaining to me, because this was your crazy idea.
Yeah.
You're sure. Like, can I come on your podcast and talk about the Grinch? Why the Grinch? And as you put it, it's like, it's a monster movie.
It is.
And as I'll explain, going through some of these notes that I have, I could make connections to things that my audience would normally be watching. But you know what the most important reason that we're covering this, Kaiju Lovers? She said so.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It says that right here, all caps, because Sarah said so.
Yep.
I mean, are you going to say no to this? Are you going to say no to look at that face. Look at those eyes. You can't say no to that. And anyone who's not seeing this, there's another incentive to join MIFV Max, people.
Yeah. Get all the visuals.
Get all the visuals, all the funny visuals. You're a regular Cindy Lou Who, you know that?
Ew, don't say that. No.
Why? You don't like Cindy Lou?
Nah. We can talk about that in a minute.
Okay, talk about that. We'll talk about that. Okay. So, since... You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put in a section here, just realized, for a plot rundown.
Wow. I think we might quote it enough, but wow.
Well, I was going to say, you know what? After I finish, you know what? Let's do it right now. You, Little Miss guest of the podcast, give us a rundown on this movie.
There's a green guy who hates Christmas. There's a bunch of weirdo Who's. We won't talk about what they are, but the Who's who love Christmas, and the Grinch hates it. So he steals it from them, but then has a turn of heart, AKA his heart grows
3 sizes,
3 sizes all at once. And he gives it back.
But why does he hate Christmas?
Well, depends on what version we're talking about.
We're talking about this version right here from 2000 with Jim Carrey.
In the Jim Carrey version, he hates Christmas because wow. He just now hit the record button, folks. Just now.
I'm going to have to rip the audio from the beginning.
The audio just got significantly better. You're welcome. Anyway, yeah, so the rundown of the Grinch is the reason he hates it is because he lived with the Who's for a while, and at Christmas time he got made fun of and picked on, and therefore he hates it. He literally picked up a Christmas tree and threw it, and then he runs and hides in the mountain and just hates from the mountaintop, and then decides to steal Christmas because how dare they?
How dare they?
Yeah.
And there is a child.
There is a child.
Her name is Cindy Lou.
Not to be confused with Grogu. Listen, I just saw this is gonna all the Christian fans that know the Bible, but Simeon in the Bible is very excited to see the baby Jesus because God promised him that he would see him before his death, Simeon's death. And I just saw a TikTok or like a Instagram reel video the other day where they take the "I want to see the baby" and they made it Simeon that says it in the temple. He's like, "I want to see the baby," and it was actually Simeon. So,
wow,
I thought that was clever.
Wow. Also, you were talking to me just before we went live about how I was like, make sure you hit the record button, and then
yeah, no kidding. I most definitely said that. So for all of you that are like, why is the sound so bad in the beginning? I warned him, and he still forgot.
Well, we'll see. But anyway, yeah, you got it. That's basically every version of this story ever. Because this is one of 3 adaptations, I would say. Because you had the cartoon
adaptations, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had the cartoon from the 60s directed by Chuck Jones. That's my favorite adaptation. You have this one, and then there was the 2018 version made by Illumination Studios of Despicable Me fame.
My opinion on that one, to quote the Grinch, would be stink, stank, stunk.
Oh, hot take. I know. We're not talking about that one, but yeah, that one. I mean, say what you want about this version that we're talking about right now, but I found the 2018 version to be a little bit bland.
Among other things.
Or a bit weird. Because Cindy Lou looks really weird in that.
Among other things.
I understand why she wasn't in most of the promotional material.
Yeah.
For sure. And come on, Benedict Cumberbatch, you can do better.
Yeah.
I was excited about that, but you can do better. Anyway.
I mean, I don't think it was all his fault, but yeah.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you there. But, so, just to give a quick rundown of the people who worked on this thing.
Yeah.
Before we get to the, the main discussion
Some big
on
names.
this. Yeah. So, it's directed by Ron Howard. So, Opie.
Yep. Made that joke before we started, too.
A little Opie.
Aw.
Andy.
How did the Grinch steal Christmas?
And we have a script. Now, admittedly, I found out doing research on this that there were a lot of other people who worked on this script. They just weren't credited. But the credited screenwriters are Jeffrey Price and Peter S. Seaman, but they went through like 8 drafts of this thing. It was a lot.
Wow.
It was a lot. Obviously, it is based on a children's book, and I have some information on the children's book as well, called How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss.
Really? Oh. Yeah, no, I knew that.
You ignorant child.
I knew that.
Why do you think she plays my pseudo-sister on the podcast?
Because I am your sister?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
I'm grossly underpaid.
Yes. I still owe you coffee
Yep.
for one thing that you did.
Yep. And my shirt that says official actress.
This is also true.
Monster Island Film.
I know people who make shirts.
Hey, Patreons, help the dude out. Make me a shirt, please.
Does it have to say like official MIFV actress? Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because then they put your logo on it and it's like free advertising every time I wear it.
Oh, well, there you go.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. And then it was produced by Brian Grazer and Ron Howard. So he produced and directed it. And this is significant for me. I keep bumping my microphone. This is significant for me. I don't know how significant he is for you, but the music was by James Horner.
I got nothing.
This guy has done film scores for a lot of different movies, but the reason he's significant for me is he's done scores for a lot of Star Trek movies.
That would explain why I know nothing. Star Trek is not my...
You will know nothing and you will like it.
I don't know about that, but okay.
All right, in our cast here, we have Jim Carrey as the Grinch and your phone.
Yep, sorry, I'm going to put it on the floor.
There
so
you
it's
go.
making
Smart
noises.
move. I will do the same. We'll do it live. And so Jim Carrey it was probably at the height of his popularity when we got around to this. The guy had been in a bunch of very popular comedies, a couple of dramas as well. This is well after The Mask and Ace Ventura and Liar Liar and
Which is also cinematic.
Yeah.
But
What?
I said that's also cinematic gold. But
Oh, yes. I'm not disagreeing with you there. He was also in some questionable roles, like he was the Riddler in Batman Forever.
Yikes.
Not the best casting, I'm going to say. Although he was also, I think at this point, he was also in The Truman Show. That's one of my favorite films of his.
Yep.
So getting Jim Carrey was a big, big deal.
Yeah.
In this. And I actually understand how he would be a good choice for this. The man has been known forever and a day for having a rubber face.
Oh,
and
yeah.
actually, one of his first movies, as I mentioned, was The Mask. He wore prosthetic makeup in that.
Yeah.
So,
but his faces are classic. Like, he's definitely making faces and everything. I mean, he makes faces in Liar Liar even. So, like,
yeah. To my surprise, for what I read, and if I'm wrong, please tell me. From what I read, when he does the smirk, the classic smirk from the cartoon series, that's actually his face. They didn't enhance that.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. It's Jim Carrey. I really don't doubt that at all.
I mean, I'm just thinking back to Jack Nicholson when he was in Batman '89 as the Joker. When to get that permanent smile, they actually put wires in his face to make it so he just always smiled.
Yikes. I'm glad that's not what they did, because wow.
Well, he needs to do more faces than just that, but the Joker is supposed to be, his face is permanently smiling.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
And then we also have, she makes her film debut, Taylor Momsen as Cindy Lou Who. You love her.
Love is a strong word.
Well, the funny thing is, I don't want to date you. I don't want to date you too hard, but the first time you saw this movie, you were about the same age as her.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. No, I will say, like, she's a good little actress. It's hard to take her seriously as Cindy Lou Who. And then, yeah, I'm sure we'll get there, but the song also.
The song. We need to talk about the song.
I can't. We'll get there. Get
I know. It's like, it's a case
here,
of,
yeah.
It's one of those cases where you're like, I like the movie, but I hate the song, or at least that version of the song.
I just don't like her singing it.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because apparently she's in a band.
Yeah. For what I've read of her in the years since then, yeah, she apparently joined a punk band. She looks like a punk, like the newer picture.
Which is also weird to picture when you know.
I know, right?
Cindy Lou Who. So.
Yeah, which we probably should have mentioned this at the start, but one of the reasons that we're covering this is we watch this every year.
Oh, yeah.
This is like some weird thing that you and I have bonded over because I love the original book.
It's seeping into the entire family, though. Like,
yeah.
literally,
and we quoted
our
it all
mom
year.
quoted it the other day. Like, that's unusual. And she even knew it. Like, man, would you quit slapping the people?
Sorry.
Put your hands keep them in your lap.
It's these. It's my headphones.
Okay.
Stop it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, no, it's just interesting that like we can definitely quote it, and people like in our family now quote it all the time, and they know it and
all year long too.
All year. Yeah, for sure. Something will just happen. I'm famously quoting it all the time, and half the time my friends are like, "Why is that supposed to be funny?" Because they can tell I'm like pausing for dramatic effect, and then nothing. But anyway, cast.
Yes, cast. So yeah, Taylor Momsen. And then we had Jeffrey Tambor as Mayor Augustus Mayhew. He's actually known for doing a lot of things, a lot of television. Although another movie that he's in that I really like is Clue. You ever seen Clue?
I'm not sure that I have. Actually.
Oh, you should. I should show that to you sometime.
Yeah.
That one has a lot of famous people in it. It's based on the board game. It's one of like 2 movies in the universe based on a board game.
Well, yeah, I know what the board game is.
Yeah, and he's Colonel Mustard.
Interesting. I could see that, though. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we have Christine
Baranski.
Yes. Baranski as Martha May Huvier. Are you detecting a pattern with the names?
I wonder why.
Oh. I should be hitting the rim shot button for all of these.
Also,
I feel like.
How terrible is it if your name is Louie Lou Who?
Bill Irwin, the next guy.
And now I suddenly have the urge to sing the Louie song.
What?
Louie. Hey. It gets changed into a Christian song, a parody too.
Okay.
So.
Anyway, so yeah, Bill Irwin is Louie Who. That has a very Seussian ring to it, admittedly, but yes, he is Cindy Lou's dad. Yep. And then we have Molly Shannon as Betty Lou Who.
I'm just glad none of their names are Boo-hoo. I thought it was funny.
And then this is interesting. Anthony Hopkins is the narrator.
He doesn't have a Who name? Like, come on.
Well, here's the thing.
The Who narrator?
This is actually kind of following in the tradition of the animated version from the 60s.
Yep.
Because you know who the narrator was in that?
Not offhand, no.
Boris Karloff.
Okay, yeah.
Who famously was in horror movies.
Yeah.
And Anthony Hopkins, he's been in a lot of stuff, but he was famously Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So, seems very appropriate. And he has a good voice for narration.
Yeah, no, he does a great job.
He has one of those voices that, people will joke that's like, this person could read the phone book and it would sound amazing.
Yeah. I know some people like that.
Yep. He's one of those guys.
Jim Carrey's great at it.
That's one of the ones we quote all the time.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. We will get to that. So just some background here on the film, because this is the kind of stuff that people come to the Monster Island Film Vault for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Produced by Image Entertainment, released by Universal Pictures. That's the first thing where I'm like, I got loose connections for you to justify doing this. Universal. What is Universal famous for doing? They made monster movies.
Told you it was a monster movie.
And they did make at least one King Kong movie. And they think they own the rights to King Kong.
They think?
It's complicated.
All right, I don't want to open that bag of worms.
I did a whole episode about it. You'll have to go and listen to it. It's complicated. Yeah. So, Loose Connections. So, it was released November 8th, 2000 in LA. Got a wide release November 17th. It had a budget of $123 million, which seems like chump change now.
Yeah.
Inflation.
Yep.
And it was quite successful. It made $345.1 million worldwide, despite the fact that critics were lukewarm at best about it. And it was kind of popular for at least some audience members to hate on it.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
It's shifting a bit.
Much. I do hate on the song, but...
Well, yeah. But, I mean, it's shifting a bit now, and we'll talk about that. So... Interestingly, this was the first feature film adaptation of a Dr. Seuss book. Now, Dr. Seuss worked on a lot of animated specials, some of which we've seen. In fact, we watched one with the family for Halloween at the suggestion of our brother Jared. Because it's like, hey, did you know that there's a Halloween Grinch prequel? Oh, sure, we'll watch that. One of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was a little painful to watch.
It was
interesting.
It was bizarre.
But it was.
Funny enough, as you'll see in a later section here, as I have some information on Dr. Seuss, he won an award for that. For the Halloween one? Yep. Wow. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, no, he worked on something. I can't remember the full title, but it's the something of Dr. Teeth. It was made in the 50s. Dr. Teeth? Yeah. I could be misremembering that. Dentist? You'll be a dentist. You should watch that one. Okay. Yeah, Little Shop of Horrors. It's a musical. I've seen Little Shop of Horrors. You have? Sure. I think so. With Rick Moranis and the Singing Plant? If I have, it's been a while, but yeah, I think so. You make me proud. Anyway. It's like the one thing that we like, things we like cross over. Monsters and musicals. Musicals is probably a better bet than monsters, unless no, it's like no monsters for me, musicals for you. Oh, and then those come to okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, okay. We should watch it again sometime. Jared has it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's probably how I've seen it. It has 2 endings. That I did not know, but anyway, back to the So, first screen adaptation, big screen adaptation of a Dr. Seuss book. Yep. It's one of only 2 in live action. The other one is 2003's Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers. I refuse to watch that one. I have seen it. I'm sorry. I don't remember liking it a ton. I mean, I was with fun people, but I was also only 10, so... You just dated yourself right there. I sure did. It's all right. And then, and then there's been some other ones. I think I counted only 4 if you're talking big screen adaptations. So you have this, Cat in the Hat, The Lorax, which is animated, and Horton Hears a Who, which is animated. Those are the only ones that I can think of, yeah. I feel like there's one more, but I'm not sure what it is. There might have been one more recently. I don't remember, though. I don't remember either. No. But I know that there was a television show that I think was at least Seuss inspired. There are musicals based on his work. Seussical? Yeah, there's one called Seussical. Mm-hmm. I think there's a stage version of The Grinch. Oh, that would not surprise me at all. I think there's a stage version of Cat in the Hat. Okay. Yeah. And for a while, this was the second highest grossing holiday film behind Home Alone. That's a classic I grew up with. That's not a monster movie. It's not a monster movie. Sadly, I can't stretch the definite. Unless you're gonna call the burglars monsters because they're just so evil. Well, maybe. I mean, but I can't stretch the purview of the podcast enough to talk about Home Alone, even though I love it. But so it was the second highest until, interestingly, it was surpassed by the 2018 version. Well, I'm going to attribute that to inflation. That's how I feel about the 2018 version. Wow. Did you see that? She stole the button. I sure did. She stole the button. You saw that. It's on the record. It's definitely on the record. All right, some more background. This did win an Oscar. As much as it got panned by critics, it won an Oscar for Best Makeup.
I mean, the makeup is very impressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was nominated for 2 other Oscars, in case you care about such things. And there are other awards that it was nominated for or won, but, the Oscars is such a big deal. No one cares anymore, but but it was also
I bet Oscar cares.
Yeah, I bet he does. Can someone please get him some pants? I'm just saying.
The turtle.
Unless you live in our area of Indiana, that joke won't make any sense. Although I did put Oscar on Monster Island. He gets name dropped in an episode. He has been moved to Monster Island.
He left Cherubusco and went to Monster Island?
He was moved from Cherubusco to Monster Island.
Okay.
Gets to hang out with Daddy Gamera, I guess.
Okay, then.
You have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I know who Gamera is.
Oh, you know about Gamera.
I'm catching on.
You're catching on. I'm rubbing off on her. Can you tell?
Stop. Just because it's soft does not mean.
Ow! She hit me.
There's a reason you casted me as Crystal Lady.
Yes, there is. Which we'll talk about in the Patreon section. But yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, and also Best Costume Design was nominated.
Yeah.
And Best Art Direction, I should say, and Best Costume Design.
They got to give some of that costume design to Jim Carrey, though, for cutting out the Santa suit.
True. True. So, interestingly, and there'll be a little bit more information about him later, but Theodore Seuss Geisel? I hope I said that right.
Is it Geisel?
Geisel? Could be Geisel. It's German.
Geisel would sound more German to me. But
sounds more German.
I'm not German.
But he was Dr. Seuss, obviously. He refused his entire life to offers to have his books adapted into films. But after he died in 1991, his widow, Audrey, started negotiating merchandising deals. It's like Spaceballs. Merchandising.
I clearly have not seen that movie.
You should. It's a Star Wars
No,
parody.
I've seen it, but I don't think I've seen it recently enough.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, in a letter that Audrey... It's funny talking about Audrey, the person we just talked about, Little Shop of Horrors, Audrey 2, and Audrey the girl, and that anyway. In a letter about film adaptations, she wrote, quote, "Any actor submitted for The Grinch must be of comparable stature to Jack Nicholson, Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, and Dustin Hoffman," end quote.
Well, they didn't need anybody to compare because it just was Jim Carrey.
Although, sometimes I wonder if it had been Robin Williams.
You mean like if it would have been better if it was Robin Williams?
No, I don't know if it would have been better. It's just like, what would it have been like if it was Robin Williams? I think you still would have had the manic energy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But
probably
I think
not the rubber face stuff.
I don't know.
The rubber face
Robin
expression.
could do some of that. I think he could have handled some of that, but I just don't think. I mean, Robin would have been off the cuff, but I think off the cuff stuff would have been very different,
right,
than Jim's.
Right. It probably. I'm guessing his take on the character would have been more like a dark version of the genie.
I could see that. Yeah.
Like a grungier genie.
Yeah. Rough around the edges genie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would expect. Color. But I'm a bigger fan of Robin Williams than I am of Jim Carrey. No offense.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, for sure. No, Robin Williams is classic.
Oh, rest in peace, Robin Williams.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, so tragic. But speaking of Jim Carrey, some of his old pals wanted to direct this movie.
Yeah.
Ron Howard was not the first choice. We also had Tom Shadyac and the Farrelly brothers, who both worked with not Robin Williams, with Jim Carrey in some of his comedy films from the 90s, like Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
But the most interesting one that I found was John Hughes. So all of these people did pitch ideas to do a film version of this. John Hughes would have been interesting because John Hughes most famously did like teen and young adult dramas in the 80s, like The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles and stuff like that. So that would have been a very different take, I think, on this. But they also considered having Tim Burton.
There's a part of me that wishes that would have happened.
And to be honest, I think there are points even in the finished product, it's like, one or two steps away from being a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like it's Ron Howard trying to ape Tim Burton.
Yeah. I mean, it's very possible. I think it would have been a little darker, I think, but no, I think Tim Burton could have done a very good job at it.
I wonder how he would have worked with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I don't know. Could you imagine Johnny Depp?
I was
going to
say, what the joke would be is like he gets, okay, I'll do the movie, but I need Johnny. I don't know why I made him pseudo-British.
I don't know. It was a little weird. But
it was a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Johnny Depp is the Grinch. Wow. My mind is a little blown. Like I can kind of see it, honestly.
But why is the eggnog gone?
Why is it always gone? Listen, do not quote the Pirates of the Caribbean to me.
But he couldn't direct it because he was working on Sleepy Hollow.
Also with Johnny, so.
That's the only actor he ever works with.
Nah, that's not the only one, but
it's a joke.
They definitely have a good relationship.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
But it happens with a lot of directors. They have certain actors that they really like working with, so they just keep bringing them back all the time.
I mean, Johnny's a good one to bring back.
Careful.
That man is talented.
Careful.
I don't care. Hot take if you want. I don't care. He is a talented man. To be able to go from like Edward Scissorhands to Captain Jack Sparrow to Charlie and the Chocolate like to be the
Willy Wonka.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, there's no way. And like if you watch interviews of him where he talks about getting the voice for Willy Wonka, it's insane how quickly he can go from being like this really, like grovelly like Johnny Depp to good morning, sunshine. The earth says hello. Like, it's just terrifying how quickly he can go.
I'm terrified at how quickly you did. Don't forget, he got killed by Freddy Krueger in his first movie.
Yeah.
He was just a boyfriend.
Yep.
He wasn't even the hero.
Nope. He was on TV before that, though.
That's true. But funny enough, for what I read, they did try to get Jack Nicholson to be the Grinch. I don't know how that would have turned. That would have been. Jack Nicholson is freaking insane. That's why he was the Joker.
I was going to say, was he the Joker?
Yeah, he was the Joker.
There was a part of me that wanted to be like, I'm the Grinch. But he wasn't Batman, so that doesn't work. He's close.
I'm Grinch. Doesn't flow quite. It doesn't have quite the right rhythm. I'm Grinch, man.
No.
Nah, that's dumb. That's dumb. That's really, really dumb. And in case you're screaming at us about another adaptation of this story, screw you. It's not real. We'll talk about it later.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah. Anyway, so Ron Howard wasn't interested.
We don't talk about Bruno either.
Yeah, no.
I haven't seen
or Turbo.
I haven't seen
Only my Power Trip listeners will get that. Anyway, so Ron Howard wasn't actually interested in directing this until he read the book.
He hadn't read it before?
Apparently not, if I'm reading my sources correctly. And he's like, I like Cindy Lou. I want to expand on Cindy Lou.
Wait, what? All right.
Universal.
It was Opie coming back.
What?
It was just his childhood, Opie, young kid.
Oh.
Gotta, expound
I was just like,
upon
he was
that.
feeling nostalgic for a book apparently he didn't read as a child.
I mean, he might not have read it because he was on TV all the time.
I don't know.
There's some truth to that, too.
And Universal, they paid a pretty penny for this. They paid $9 million to get the film rights to this and Oh, the Places You'll Go.
And what have they done with Oh, the Places You'll Go?
Apparently use it as an Easter egg in this, according to an article you showed me.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I read the article after we got past that scene today. So.
Right. Now, this is something, and as much as you like this movie, stuff like this has been one of the sticking points for me about this film. And it's still a bit of a sticking point for you as much as you love it. And that is, I'm pretty sure that Shrek, which is really well known for doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
I think that was 2001. And I think it was summer 2001. So we're talking maybe 6 months after this movie.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Yeah.
Right. And that was the one where it took this kind of cynical adaptation of fairy tales. It's kid-friendly for the most part, but I feel like it's meant a little bit more for adults because they throw in jokes that, at least in their defense, go right over kids' heads, generally speaking.
Thank goodness, to a certain extent.
But there's some naughty humor in this one that bugs me. Because I feel like it is out of place in this story. It doesn't feel very Seussian.
Oh, no, not at all.
But from what I heard, from what I read, the earlier drafts were worse.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So this quotation I found here, quote, Audrey Geisel? We haven't settled on a pronunciation yet.
I would say
Geisel. Audrey Geisel objected to several jokes and sexual innuendos in the screenplay, including one about a family who did not have a Christmas tree or presents, jokingly called the Who-Steins, and the placement of a stuffed trophy of the Cat in the Hat on the Grinch's wall. Oh, it's on the Grinch's wall. That actually makes some sort of perverse sense there.
That actually might have been kind of funny. I mean, I feel like it can't be any worse than the Disney Easter egg of Scar as a rug in Hercules.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I'd rather have Cat the Hat's head on Grinch's wall than some of them they left in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, even though there's a few instances where they kept it in there, and you and I were talking about this before we went on the air, that I think what separates most of the stuff you see in here in Shrek from what you see in this is that it generally goes over kids' heads, or even some of the stuff that's been in some Disney movies, like in The Incredibles, which was a few years after this, where Syndrome catches all, the family of heroes, and he's like, Mr. Incredible, you married Elastigirl and got busy. I mean, that's gonna go over kids' heads probably, or maybe they'll kind of get it if they've had the talk.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
maybe, but that's a big maybe.
Yeah, even then they might be like, busy doing what,
Yeah, and then they'll just move on because superhero stuff happens after that.
Yeah.
So but this, it's not going over the kids' heads.
Some of it does. The keys, for sure.
The keys, yes, because that's supposed to. It's a swingers party.
Yeah.
I'm like, you could cut that out, and it just would have been a regular Christmas party. I don't know why that was there.
The only thing I can think of that maybe they thought it was an Easter egg because all the keys went into a fishbowl.
Maybe.
I feel like that's pushing it though.
Yeah.
Like if that's really why they left it there, that's dumb. You could have done something else.
That is. And then there's some kind of really mild profanities in there, which I'm surprised they left in. And then there's the
dog scene.
The dog scene.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Just why? That's not going over kids' heads.
No.
And admittedly, I think it's funny, but they pucker up a kiss at Whoville.
Yeah.
It's funny, but I'm like, really? That's kind of Jim Carrey getting back to his Ace Ventura shtick a little bit there.
Yeah.
But speaking of Jim Carrey, here's another quotation for you. Quote, Jim Carrey admitted to feeling ashamed for not trying to prevent some of the adult humor in this movie, and has repeatedly stated that all of the jokes he ad-libbed were age-appropriate. He then found out that producer and director Ron Howard had removed many other jokes that were even raunchier, but had to keep some of it due to what they both claim as quote-unquote studio interference.
I just have a hard time believing that there were people that really wanted it to have that in there.
Studios. The executives will make dumb decisions like that because they think they know what people want when really they don't.
Keyword there was dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, it makes me a little happy to know that Jim didn't want those there. Because that makes me feel a little bit better about what does take place, knowing that like even some of the people who were part of the creative process and making it come to life on screen were like, why? But yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I think they could have gone for a G rating with this, or a much tamer PG, and it would have been fine.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And that's that's the thing that frustrates me the most about this. There's some other things that frustrate me, but in terms of content and kid friendliness, that's where I take some umbrage with it, because the book is so good. I'm an unabashed Dr. Seuss fan. Okay, call me weird if you want. I think Dr. Seuss is a genius.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Yeah, and I love that story. I love that book. And I don't feel like the movie quite gets the story and the adult humor is part of that. I'm glad at least Jim Carrey was sensitive to that. I think he knew.
Well, it was supposed to be a family movie. He clearly knows, if I'm doing a family movie, I should not be doing some of the stuff. Well, yeah, that's here.
I mean, he was a comedian. He was on TV doing sketch comedy. It's actually how he kind of got started before he was in movies. He was on a show called In Living Color. It was kind of like Saturday Night Live sketch comedy. And he was very good at ad-libbing. Most of the Grinch, from what I heard, most of the Grinch's lines are ad-libbed.
Yeah, no, I've read that.
Jury duty, black man,
I really hope that one was from Jim Carrey's brain, because, oh my gosh, we quote that one a lot. But no, I think I read somewhere that the entire scene that I kind of recreated when we started tonight of him changing, out of the cloak that he had on when he was down in Whoville, all of that behind the screen with the silhouette of him where he's like, rah, 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 and he drags off a dead body and then comes out normal. I'm pretty sure I read that was completely he just got back there and went and did the whole thing, as all Jim Carrey's imagination. And then they just leave it. It's Jim
what are you
Carrey.
going to do?
Why wouldn't you?
I was just saying, why wouldn't you? I mean, there's some other bits that I'm pretty sure I would love to look at the script for this and find out how much of what the Grinch says was actually scripted, or how much of it was just Jim say stuff like this, say stuff about this.
I would not doubt it. I really wouldn't.
Yeah. And then this I found fascinating. This has quickly become a lost art because they don't like building sets anymore in Hollywood.
Dumb.
But they built this on the Universal lot behind the Bates Motel.
Yeah,
from Psycho.
What I want to know though is it still there?
Oh, Whoville?
Yeah.
The Bates Motel, I think, is.
Oh, for sure, that's iconic. I'm sure that's still there.
I'm trying to remember the Bates Motel. I'm trying to remember if the Bates Motel.
It's got to be there.
It's either still there or it's been moved or something like that. But it stood there for decades.
All I know is that I want to go see Whoville. That'd be pretty legit. Although maybe they moved it to Universal Studios.
It's possible.
Because this year especially, I've been seeing a lot of videos of cosplayers basically that are playing the Grinch at Universal. So
no, I think it's actually a guy who works at Universal, and it's clearly the Jim Carrey version.
Okay, yeah.
Not just a cosplayer.
Oh no, it's definitely
people who work there.
Oh, for sure.
All right, and then again, this is why I say it's tokusatsu. The Grinch suit and makeup were designed. Here's my other loose connection to justify doing this. Were designed by Rick Baker. Rick Baker has done a lot of work in special effects, particularly with practical effects, and he famously played King Kong. 1976. Covered that movie on this very podcast with John LeMay. All the way back at season 1.
So he's very good at making hairy suits.
Yes. Whether that be for Jim Carrey or a tiny person.
Yeah.
So, this suit was spandex and it was covered with yak hair dyed green.
Yak.
Took me a second.
That's because it has a little delay.
Whoop. And while Jim Carrey says it took 8 hours to get into, it was actually 2.5. And that frustrated the snot out of him. He hated wearing this thing.
I mean, Jim Carrey probably just had a hard time sitting still that long. How long is this makeup going to take? It's forever.
So this caused some trouble because he did not like wearing this thing. So the makeup artist on the film was a guy named Kazuhiro. Japanese. So again, loose connection.
I was going to say, we're starting to sound pretty good here.
Yeah. He was quoted as saying, on set, Carrey was really mean to everybody, and at the beginning of the production, they couldn't finish. After 2 weeks, we only could finish 3 days worth of shooting schedule because suddenly he would just disappear, and then he came back. Everything was ripped apart. We couldn't shoot anything, end quote. Jim Carrey almost quit. This guy was going to quit because of it. Ron Howard had to convince both of them to stay on.
I just want to point out that he says on set, Carrey was really mean. I mean,
he's the Grinch.
He's also a mean one. He was in character. Come on.
Maybe he was just in character.
Jeez.
But it was so hard. He said it felt like being buried alive wearing this thing.
I honestly, looking at it, I don't doubt it. That does look like, I read online today that even some of the Who's had to put straws up their nose in order to breathe in those prosthetic noses that they were wearing. So I don't even want to, I hate getting sick and having a stuffed up nose and feeling like I can't breathe. I can't imagine wearing that and then having to act with it. Yeah, no.
Yeah. And apparently, he says, he used torture endurance techniques taught him by a CIA agent to get through this.
I have also heard that. So, got to be true, right? We've heard it from several sources.
It's the story he tells.
Good. It sounds good.
I just, can you imagine being that guy? A guy who's worked for the CIA, okay? Been all over the world, probably toppled a government or two.
Seen some things.
And he gets called over by Jim Carrey, and he's like, you have to help me. Do what? Wear this costume.
It's green.
Well.
I would have loved if the CIA officer, showed up, and the first thing they did was he sat down with Jim at a table and said, here's a piece of paper and a pen. You're going to take some notes. All right, cool. What am I going to write first? The pen is red.
I was like, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this? Oh, I get it now. All right. So this, according to one of my sources, had the most... Oh, excuse me. Also, according to my sources, no movie other than this has featured so many characters in heavy makeup and costumes since The Wizard of Oz. And our mother loves that movie.
Oh, yeah. It's a great movie, but I don't doubt it. And honestly, when it comes to the makeup stuff, that makes me think of the Tin Man, because the Tin Man was a source of a lot of problems in The Wizard of Oz. Wasn't there one guy that was
allergic to the makeup?
He was allergic to the makeup, and he had to quit. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely.
And then apparently, Mr. Carrey's Grinch accent was inspired by Sean Connery.
I never knew that until you told me that earlier. But honestly, I can hear it. It's kind of crazy now.
I'm the Grinch.
Yeah, it's definitely there.
The name is Grinch. The Grinch.
I hear it. It's definitely there.
Now I suddenly want Sean Connery to voice the Grinch, but he's kind of dead now.
Nah, I don't think that would be great. But it's interesting to hear the processes that the actors take to find the voices that are iconic to us now.
And is that a preview of the Patreon section?
No, probably not. Because honestly, I basically just play myself. So.
We'll get to that. Save it.
To be continued.
Yeah, to be continued.
But no, I mean, I was telling you earlier, there's obviously I quoted Johnny Depp and him finding his Willy Wonka voice, but then also I've heard things about Tom Hanks finding his Forrest Gump voice.
Right.
And so it's just interesting. I come from an acting background. And
Save it for the Patreons.
I will. But I'm just saying that process fascinates me.
I know.
And so knowing that he based it off of Sean Connery is just, it's intriguing. So.
I mean, I know what you're talking about because now I've been doing some voice acting on some other podcasts, not just this one.
Yep.
With you and all of that, but I play one of the bad guys on Power Rangers, the audio drama, and I had to go through a process because I don't use my natural voice for the bad guy. So, but that's a story for another day. So, got to talk about the song. I know you love the song so much.
Do we have to?
Where are you, Christmas?
For a split second there, when you said "where," I thought you were going to sing the VeggieTales song, and I was like, Nathan,
what?
That is a wrong song.
What VeggieTales song?
Are you kidding me right now? What kind of
my hairbrush?
Yeah.
Oh
my gosh.
I haven't watched VeggieTales in forever.
Neither have I, but that's a classic.
Oh my gosh! Stop it. But apparently this was written by Mariah Carey and performed by Faith Hill.
I mean, I don't doubt that, but why would Mariah Carey not sing it?
Well, it says she was initially going to release her recording, but due to legal disputes between herself and her ex-husband, Tommy Mottola, excuse me, who was the chairman of her label, she couldn't do it. So Faith Hill had to bring in a re-recording of the song. Mariah Carey got to keep the songwriting credit, but she got the producing credit. Faith Hill.
Wow. That's unfortunate. You write the song and then you can't sing it? That stinks.
Yeah. And there's a couple versions of it in this. There's one that sounds more like a little bit of a choir singing at the end of the movie.
Yeah, like the Who's. The Who's are singing it.
Yeah. And then we hear Faith Hill singing in the credits. Mm-hmm. But then there's your favorite version. When Cindy Lou sings it.
No.
In the movie.
That is my absolutely least favorite.
Please tell the Kaiju Lovers why you don't like that.
Oh, man.
For one thing, it should be known, you have perfect pitch.
Pretty darn near perfect pitch. Although I've seen some videos of some, oh gosh, I don't remember that artist's name right now off the top of my. Oh, Charlie Puth. He has perfect pitch, and that man has such good perfect pitch that he was on a talk show, and the guy clunked a spoon against a coffee cup, and he knew exactly what. I'm not that good, but yes,
What about Mom though?
Mom definitely would have more perfect pitch than I do. Even Dad has pretty good pitch, so definitely runs in the family.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, he really didn't. But yeah, so I come from a singing background and an acting background, which we'll get into probably more later. But with my singing background, the girl that plays Cindy Lou Who sings it. Or is it even her that sings it?
Taylor Momsen, and that is her.
It is her?
That was her. Taylor Momsen, excuse me.
Yeah.
I got the name wrong.
My thing is it's just unfortunate, but she sounds so nasally, which, okay, cool, yeah, she's a kid, she's a cartoon character, maybe it was on purpose, but it just sounds really whiny, and I know the song is supposed to be kind of cry, I'm sad, but it just almost is too much, and it's just laid on so thin. I just can't.
I know. Even I have to agree with you there. It's not great singing. There are better child singers in the world.
Oh, for sure, yes. I mean, that's not me trying to throw shade on Taylor. I've never heard the rock band or punk band that she's in now, but again, maybe they wanted her to sound that way. I really don't know, but it just... I just can't. I don't even like nasally singers in general. I was just talking with somebody the other day about people that are adults and professional singers that sound nasally that I'm just I just can't.
Just no.
It's improper technique when it comes to singing. It usually means you're singing from your head, is what singers say, instead of singing from your diaphragm.
Right.
And so it just tells them there's a host of problems that come with singing that way, but it also just doesn't sound good.
Right. Right. But yeah, I will admit it's not great. There's worse. There's worse in the world.
Oh, for sure there's worse. Yeah.
I almost wonder if maybe they cast her because she looked cute enough to be Cindy Lou.
I suppose. Yeah.
And they're like, "Can you sing?" Oh, kinda. Okay, fine, we can work with it. It'll drive this girl Sarah from Indiana crazy, but
The only version of Where Are You Christmas that I can stomach is the Pentatonics version.
Not even Faith Hill?
I mean, she's okay. I don't know.
What if Mariah Carey sang it?
Mariah Carey's got some pipes, so I think it might have been interesting.
But does she need another Christmas song for people to hate every year?
She really, well, there's a lot of people that love that song that you were.
I know, but it's popular to hate it because it gets played all the time.
There's honestly though, like I hate it when people say that. Oh, I just hate that song because it's overplayed, and I'm like, typically, if it's overplayed, it's most likely because it's good. Like,
not always.
Well, hot take. I think the Frozen music is phenomenal, and people are so annoyed with Let It Go and everything else that came out of that. But like, it's good. Like, yes, okay, I'm tired of hearing it all the time, but like, it's good.
I think that's the problem. It's the overexposure.
Yeah,
I feel like that about certain like comic book characters and stuff. I'm like, I'm tired of seeing them. I know Batman is cool, but I don't need to see Batman all the time.
That's just because you like Superman.
Well, that too, but but then there's like Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm like, there are other X-Men.
You sure? They haven't been X'd. You didn't like that one? Darn. I'm trying. You said to be funny, so.
Yes. Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Okay, fine. But speaking of Cindy Lou and actresses who played her, June Foray, who did the voice of Cindy Lou in the cartoon, didn't like this movie.
Because of Cindy Lou?
No. She said in her autobiography, Did You Grow Up With Me Too?, that when she saw the movie, she thought Chuck Jones, who directed the cartoon, that he was unable to see it because his health was failing at the time. It was shortly before his death. And she said after seeing the movie, she was glad he didn't see it because she thinks it would have finished him off.
Wow. Yikes.
Strong words.
Yeah, that is pretty strong. I mean, I can see why maybe, but at the same time, like, ouch.
Yeah.
Like, if that one is bad, I'm glad he didn't see the 2018 one.
Well, what's interesting is that on paper, I think this is supposed to be an adaptation of the book, but in Ron Howard's mind, it's also an adaptation of the cartoon. Because there's stuff that is exclusive to the cartoon adaptation that they put into this, which is interesting because these were made by two completely different studios.
Yeah.
Because Universal made this, Warner Brothers made the cartoon version. Hence why it was Chuck Jones. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure it was Warner Brothers. It looks like a Warner Brothers cartoon.
It does, yes.
So I could be wrong on that, but I'm sticking to it. I'm pretty sure it's Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about Dr. Seuss himself to kind of put this into perspective a little bit. We've been talking a lot about the movie. Mm-hmm. So his real name, I mentioned already, was Theodore Seuss Geisel. Born March 2nd, 1954, and died September 24th, 1991. I mention specifically his birthday because that factors into some info I got for you later. He was born in Springfield, Massachusetts. He is of German...
Close to the witches, but...
What?
Perilously close to the witches.
Really? You know where Springfield, Massachusetts is?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
Not offhand. I'm not that good at geography.
Okay. He's of German descent, and he actually experienced some prejudice after World War I. Which is funny because, well, we'll talk about that here in a second. I'll mention it. He was the son of a brewer.
Coffee brewer?
Try booze.
Oh, darn.
Booze. And he was Missouri Synod Lutheran. I am not entirely sure what that is. Do you know anything?
I do not. I mean, I know Lutheran, but I don't know anything about the
Missouri Synod Lutheran.
Yeah, no, I know Lutheran, but I don't know that. That's interesting.
I read that. I'm assuming, okay, that denomination sounds a little weird, but I'm looking at that saying, so he was a God-fearing man.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, quite. He adopted the pen name Dr. Seuss while he was a student at Dartmouth College.
Is he a doctor?
He did go to get a master's, but he dropped out to become an illustrator. He was in the program at Lincoln College, Oxford.
So he's a master's, not a doctorate. So he's technically not a doctor?
No, he's not a doctor. I don't even think he got a master's degree. He dropped out.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, if I'm reading that correctly. And he did he was a cartoonist as well as a children's author. Mm-hmm. And during World War II, he was a political cartoonist. And he's written and illustrated over 60 children's books. Now, I bring up the thing about him experiencing prejudice and the fact that he was a cartoonist because he had a little bit of a Grinchian turn here, too.
Oh, yeah?
When he was a cartoonist during World War II, he did a lot of propaganda pieces. A lot of them were anti-Japanese.
Anti-Japanese?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then, if I remember the story correctly, this is not in my notes in here. I'm going off of memory with this. He visited Japan after the war. And
his heart grew 3 sizes?
Yes, at least toward the Japanese people. Wow. Because he's like, you know what? They're not as bad as I thought.
Huh.
And supposedly this change of heart inspired Horton Hears a Who. Because a person's a person, no matter how small.
Yeah. Good job, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, so he came around. Because if you find some of his World War II illustrations,
I think you've showed me a few.
They're kind of awful.
Yeah. Yikes.
Although apparently some people thought some of his children's books were racist and banned them. You silly people.
I saw one today. We've been hanging out all day, and earlier today when we were at Half Price Books, I saw one behind glass that was a Dr. Seuss book. I don't remember.
It was one of the banned ones. It's like $300 now.
I don't know if it was one of the banned ones. I just remember
if it's behind the glass, it's one of the banned ones.
It probably was. I don't remember.
Was it like If I Owned a Zoo?
I think that might have been what it was.
That's one of the banned ones now.
Yeah, it was like $200 some.
Yeah, because it's banned and they're not printing it anymore.
And I just was like, okay.
It's because there's one character. It's one character on one page that looks a bit like a quote unquote Asian stereotype.
Was this before or after his change of heart, though?
It was after. But it's just being retroactively banned. Oh. Because recently people thought it was bad. But have they read? It's been in publication for decades.
Interesting.
Up until 5 minutes ago.
So they canceled it only because they heard about him making the anti-Japanese stuff?
No, they just canceled it because they were looking at it. It's like, ew, you know what? That looks insensitive, and nobody likes Asian hate. Stop Asian hate.
It's because he's green, isn't it?
Yes. Anyway, just thought I would tell that story to people.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yep. And he's won multiple awards, as you would expect. He has won the Lewis Carroll Shelf Award. He won that twice, 1958, 1961. That is an award given to what is considered the best children's literature of the year.
Wow.
Lewis Carroll, the man who wrote Alice in Wonderland.
So which ones in those years did he win for? Is that how that works? Like, does it have to be something
he won for one of his books.
But it has to be one that was written that year? Interesting. Okay.
He also won a Regina Medal from the Catholic Library Association in 1982. And he got 2 Emmys for his television specials.
Nice.
One for Outstanding Children's Special, 1978. And if I remember correctly, that's the Halloween Grinch.
Oh, my word.
And then one for Outstanding Animated Program in 1982.
Okay.
And the reason I mentioned his birthday is a holiday of sorts.
Dr. Seuss Day?
Nope. National Read Across America Day.
Read Across America?
Yep. Which is, quote, an initiative on reading created by the National Education Association.
What does that mean?
They want everyone to read.
Across America?
Yeah, everyone
so
across
it's a literacy thing.
Yes.
Okay, see, my brain went to, the places you'll go. It's like, we're reading across America from California to New York to Maine.
I mean, that would make some sort of sense.
Well, that's where my brain went. So I was like,
of course
what does that even mean? Well, I like to travel, so
yeah,
my bad.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. And now I want to give a little info about the book itself, the source material, which, as I've already made abundantly clear, I love this thing. So it was published in Red Book. It was a magazine.
Interesting.
They had it first, and then by Random House, October 12th, 1957, and November 24th, 1957, respectively. So it was in Red Book first, then it was published as a book by Random House.
Okay, yeah.
Now, the funny thing is, this was not the first appearance of the Grinch.
What?
Yep, according to my source, quote, the Grinch first appeared in a 33-line illustrated poem by Dr. Seuss called The Hubbub.
Hubbub, yeah.
The Hubbub and the Grinch, which was originally published in May 1955 in Red Book. I did not know that.
I want
to read this now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to find that.
Yeah. And then, here's the inspiration for the character. Again, we're talking about how he had a bit of a Grinchian turn about the Japanese. Again, loose connections. Japanese. Quote, Dr. Seuss claimed he was inspired. Dr. Seuss claimed he was the inspiration for the character, he himself. As his wife's health problems and his dismay with the commercialization of Christmas made him feel, quote unquote, very Grinchish as he looked in the mirror one year on December 26th.
26th?
The day after Christmas.
Right, but I'm just saying he had that feeling after Christmas was over.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
I was waiting for you to make the obvious joke there.
Did he take off his red nose?
No, not that joke.
Oh. I missed
You reject your own nose!
Well, that's what I said. Did he take off his nose?
Because it represents the glitter of commercialism.
Yeah.
No.
Brilliant.
Brilliant! Yeah, those are lines from the movie.
Why didn't I think of that?
Why didn't I think of No. What was he doing?
Wait, what?
What was he doing when he got this idea? He was looking in the mirror.
Oh,
Come on, do it.
Hello.
No, not
Yeah, he's talking to himself.
You hurt me. I've been setting you up for the last 2 minutes to make a music reference.
Oh, Man in the Mirror?
Yes.
I'm thinking about the Grinch, man, not MJ. Come on.
All right, since you have thoroughly murdered that joke, we're moving on.
Hee
You almost made up for it. All right, he wrote it in a few weeks. So he cranked it out pretty fast. He said it was the easiest book he ever wrote until the ending. He struggled with the ending.
Gee, I wonder why.
He struggled with the ending because he was trying to figure out how to not make it preachy.
Interesting. I thought you were going to tell me he struggled with the ending because he didn't feel that way.
No.
Interesting.
No, he wanted to make sure it wasn't preachy or saccharine or anything like that. And I can understand that.
Yeah.
Because with a book like this, a story like this, it could get easy to get preachy like that. So he really had to work hard to get that right. And this is kind of sweet. He dedicated the book to Theodore Teddy Owens, the 1-year-old son of his niece, Peggy Owens.
Oh.
I need to check the newer editions to see if it's still in there.
I have one. I can go home and check. I'll let you know.
You'll have to let me know.
I also really want the Portuguese version.
I know. You sent me a link to that. You found one that was in Portuguese. I think I read that the book has been translated into 9 languages. I'm surprised it's not more.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised too.
Well, I'm guessing his prose might be a little hard to translate because of
wouldn't rhyme the same.
Because you would lose a lot in the translation.
Yeah, I could see
and
that.
he makes up a lot of words.
Yeah, I definitely would be interested to see the Portuguese version. I've been trying to learn Portuguese, and so there was this fleeting moment about a month ago where I was like, "Oh, it'd be really good to like find children's books that are in Portuguese that like would be simple words." I'm going back to like first grade, but like I was like, oh, I love the Grinch. Let's see if they have that. And sure enough, Amazon, man, coming in clutch.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I feel like a lot of stuff would be lost with that.
It probably would, but it would still be fun.
How do you translate the made-up words? You know?
Probably.
I mean, supposedly Dr. Seuss invented the word nerd.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
I forget which book it was in, but he supposedly coined the term nerd.
Huh. Is that why the Nerds candy has the weird little cartoon characters that look like they could be straight out of a Dr. Seuss book?
Maybe. You're going to send me down a research rabbit hole with that, aren't you?
You're welcome.
Good Lord.
Look
what
good.
you do to me.
He is good. Good Lord.
Okay. Anyway, so I have a handful. We've talked about a lot of stuff in this movie already, but I do have just kind of like some little points here that we can use as springboards to talk about some more stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
It's a guilty pleasure for me.
I don't know.
I will admit that it's a guilty pleasure. Like I said, I have issues. I have issues with this movie.
You should not feel guilty.
As at least, well, one as a movie and two as an adaptation of that book. I get the feeling it's very nostalgic for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I just feel like I grew up loving it. Grew up really enjoying the movie. I can actually remember today we were watching the movie, rewatching it before we did this. But like honestly, I can remember even on the one DVD that we have of it, there's like a little game with Max, and I can some of the quotes that I think I quote the most are because when you do something well in the game with Max or you do it improperly, like they show a clip of the movie where he like when you get something wrong, it'll show the clip of him building the sleigh when he's like, I asked you for 3/4, not 5/8. Stay focused. And it's like it's telling you that because you just got the answer wrong in the game. So like I clearly liked The Grinch a lot when I was a kid, and it's very nostalgic.
Yeah. I was trying to remember when was the first time you saw it, because we didn't go see this in the theater.
We probably just went through a phase where we were buying Christmas movies for home, and it probably just, came home for $5 or so.
I can't remember. Did we have it on VHS or DVD first?
No, DVD first for sure.
Was it DVD?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to remember that because I'm not entirely sure when I saw it first. I think, it might have been before I went to college, or maybe when I was in college. I don't exactly remember. I do know I saw it not too long after it came out because it was kind of the thing to watch, especially for the first couple of Christmases after it came out. And then at some point along the road, I don't know when it evolved into what it is for us now. Because like I said, it's a guilty pleasure for me. It's nostalgic for you.
Yeah.
And then it became this, I wish I could remember when it became this thing that we just bonded over.
I honestly don't know, except that I clearly quoted a lot, and I feel like maybe you're just enough of a movie nerd that you just caught on and stuck with me. I don't know. I really don't know, but I definitely quoted all year.
Because I will tell you, for a long time, the only reason I bothered to watch it again is because you wanted to see it.
Yeah. Oh no, I love it. I mean, I love the old one too. Don't get me wrong. I love the one from the '60s and the Chuck Jones one, but I don't know. There's just something about Jim Carrey that just, I honestly, I know we talked about other actors, but I have a hard time thinking that somebody else would have made it as good as Jim Carrey.
Well, okay, we've been dancing around that. So, I do want to talk about it in comparison to those other two adaptations. Yeah. So, I love the Chuck Jones version. Chuck Jones is just, he was a genius at animation. He directed a lot of Looney Tunes. He was basically one of the founders of Looney Tunes, one of the great pioneers of animation, back in the day like that. So the fact that he did The Grinch and he brought that talent and those sensibilities to it, it just seems so absolutely perfect. And Dr. Seuss was directly involved with that. Right. So there are all those things that are not in the book that they added. There's a couple of plot points that they added, like the part about him lifting the sleigh off of the mountain to keep it from falling. Yeah. That was added in the animated version. So there were extra lines in the narration put in there, but those were written by Seuss. Yeah. So, it feels very consistent, cohesive with everything else. Otherwise, they give you the whole text of the book in there. Yeah. Yeah. And, they added the bit where the narrator just shuts up and it's the Grinch going from the top of the mountain to Whoville. That was pure Looney Tunes antics right there. That was pure Chuck Jones. Yeah. So, that was for me, it's such a perfect marriage of the right people and the right sensibilities. It really does feel like the book put to screen.
Oh, yeah.
And I adore it. And it also changed some things that define things for the character. A lot of like the fact that the Grinch is green comes from that special because he's not colored.
It's black and white.
It's black and white in the original illustration. So clearly that thing's influence is all over this movie. So for me, it's like that is about pitch perfect with the book. You know how I say that like I have exceptions to my book is always better rule? This is not a movie, it's a television special. But I would probably, if you wanted me to get really technical about it, I would be willing to put it there, if not for the fact that it's a children's book and a television special. But I would probably say like I can't pick. Yeah. They're both so incredibly good.
And I think that's why I like the Jim Carrey one to a certain extent, is because I think obviously before I ever saw the Jim Carrey one, I was familiar with the book and I watched the old special. And so I think to a certain extent, maybe the Jim Carrey book, like you're saying, it made the book come to life for you. I think to a certain extent, having it expand upon the character of the Grinch and have it expand upon the character of even the Who's, I think that's why the movie is so impactful for me, because I'm seeing more of what I already liked. And so I think that plays a role in it.
Well, the counterpoint that I've heard to that, and I agree with, is, do we really need it? I mean, you have to pad out the runtime to get it to 90 minutes or more.
Yeah.
Because it's a children's book. It has a very simple story. You can, if you're an adult, you can read through it in 15 minutes, 10 if you're fast.
I think, do we need it? No. But I think when you are a fan of something, you want to understand all the ins and outs. That's what a fan is. They're a fanatic. They're going to learn all the different things. And so I think the Jim Carrey one, because it expounds upon it, it plays into those fans because they want more. So did we need it? No, not necessarily. But did we want it as Grinch fans? Yeah, probably. Because you want to understand.
I don't know if I wanted more.
I don't know. I think that there's going to be people who always want more of the backstory. They always want to, just like I was just talking with some friends the other day about what's Max's backstory. Like, where did the Grinch get Max?
Okay, this is kind of funny.
Yeah, so the conversation I had with a buddy of mine the other day was that we were talking about, like, where did Max come from? The Grinch, even in this movie, the Grinch doesn't, like, have Max and run away with Max to the mountain. Where did Max come from? Well, there's a lot of fans out there that think that Max was probably thrown away into the garbage, and that garbage suit in the Jim Carrey one where it's like
Mount Crumpet.
The Mount Crumpet garbage.
Dump it to Mount Crumpet.
Yeah. The fan idea or theory is that someone threw away their Christmas puppy in the garbage to Mount Crumpet, and the Grinch rescued him. Because, like, where did Max come from? Max is in the book because he clearly looks at Max and puts the reindeer antler. Where did Max come from? And those are things that I think as fans, we like to theorize those things. We like to try to figure them out.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it more fun to just think of those things? Like if you have that little children's book and to just kind of think of all of this stuff? Or is it better to be left to your imagination as opposed to them making a padded out movie that quote unquote canonizes it?
So I have probably two answers to this. For myself personally, I would rather imagine it. That's why I say I didn't need the movie. I appreciate the movie. I didn't need it. For myself, I love to read. I love to imagine those things. I like to have the imagination to do those things. But I think that the world, and this is kind of my second answer here, is that I think that as a whole, the world is like people in the world are very visual. And so, unfortunately, there's a lot of lack of, I'll just watch the movie, right? Like I'm not gonna read the book.
Oh,
I'm just
good
gonna watch
Lord!
And I'm not saying that's a good answer, but I think that people know that, and they know it'll make money, so therefore they do it.
Right.
So, is that what I would prefer? Probably not. I like to read. Just like you said, there's very few that I would say that the movie's better than the book. I do have one that's probably a hot take.
What's that? Because I have one that's a hot take. My hot take is Ready Player One. I'm in the minority on that.
I have not read that nor watched it, so I can't have an opinion.
The book is awful. The movie is okay.
Yeah, no. My hot take of the movie being better than the book is Bridge to Terabithia.
Oh, yes, we've talked about that.
Yeah, I had only read portions of Bridge to Terabithia, I think, in school. And so I loved the movie as a kid. It was probably one of the first movies that I think we did a sibling trip, and it was you, me, and our other brother that went to go see it in theaters. And I vividly remember this because you made fun of me, but I'm pretty sure it's the first movie I ever went to the theaters and cried in.
Really?
Yeah. And you picked on me about it, but that's okay. What are big brothers for, right? But,
right.
But anyway.
I don't remember this.
I
don't remember picking on you.
I always really liked the movie. And so just this past year, I decided, Bridge to Terabithia, it's an easy read. It's a kid's book. Like, it's really easy. So I picked it up and read it very quickly. And I was just really disappointed. There's a lot of things in the book that I don't think need to be there. There was some language that, as an adult now I work with kids a lot. Like, it was just kind of like, I really don't want a 10-year-old reading some of this language and things like that. Things like we were talking about with this movie. Like, it just didn't need to be there. But I think, and again, this podcast is not about this, but I just think there's things that aren't resolved in the book that get resolved very well in the movie.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's my hot take.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. But so I understand that. And I understand you have to expand on it. Even the 2018 movie had to expand on things a bit to, like I said, to pad it out because it's such a simple story. Mm-hmm. So some of that's by necessity. I get it. I mean, even the original TV special had to pad it out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, it would take, 10 minutes to read the book?
Yeah, something like that. But, so they added, the sleigh scene and, they padded out, they have, when he builds the sleigh, and that's when they played the song.
The song. Well, Dr. Seuss did write that.
Yeah, which was written by Dr. Seuss. And, it was sung by the guy, I can't remember his name, but sung by the guy who was Tony the Tiger. And they, which they replicate here. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind that expansion, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
That just makes sense to me.
Well, it makes it very TV ready too to put a song and
Right. So I understand this. So even that. So basically, every adaptation has had to expand on it in one form or another. And I'm not necessarily opposed to expanding on something as simple as this, but it's still. And this is where I think the '60s version really shines: is that it still remains in the spirit of the book, if that makes sense. Now, that it benefited from actually having. I am so sorry for people listening to this. I keep bumping my mic.
Slapping you guys.
Yeah. It benefited from actually having Dr. Seuss working on it. That was a big advantage.
Yeah.
Huge advantage. And, the fact that it was Chuck Jones, and I think they were on the same page.
The same page, yeah, for sure.
With this. So I'm glad for that. This didn't have that. This was almost a decade after his death.
You don't feel like the Jim Carrey one does the book justice?
I think where it stumbles the most compared to the book, outside of the unnecessary adult humor.
Well, that aside, we both don't like that.
Yeah,
so that aside.
I think it misses the theme of the book a bit. Now, it gets there. Yeah. It gets there. Yeah. But the whole point of the book is the Who's understand what Christmas is about, truly. And the Grinch hates them for it and hates Christmas. And
and I guess they do kind of play with the fact that the Who's don't pay attention.
And it's the same thing in the 2018 version to a certain extent, from what I can remember. Yeah, but I'm just saying it carried over.
Yeah,
because Cindy Lou gets it. This was a Ron Howard decision to do this, and I think he did it because he needed to create conflict. He really wanted to expand on Cindy Lou and make it, in large part, her story.
Right.
But he had to create conflict for her. So in order to do that, she's the one who's like, what is Christmas really about? Hence the song that you love so much. And so everyone else has this very hyper-commercialized view of Christmas. That's how the Who's are. So they translate the Who's love of Christmas as being very commercialized. And then they, by the end of the movie, because of Cindy Lou, figure out, you know what? We've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I never thought of it that way.
So, like I said, the movie gets there.
It gets there, but it makes the Who's
learn it too. But it's kind of like through the back door a little bit.
Yep.
That, I mean, it's just like we were watching. We say this actually almost every year when they have the scene where they try to make the Grinch the cheermeister, which is not in the book, obviously.
Nope.
The Grinch never goes to Whoville. There's several sequences where he goes to Whoville before he steals Christmas.
Well, I think that's funny to think about.
I mean, it is kind of
yeah,
funny.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it wasn't entertaining.
The cheermeister thing is a little much, but like the scene where he goes and like causes havoc is definitely
that was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny. And he goes into this tirade of a speech that you just listeners like, he kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, yo,
can hang myself with all the neckties.
With all the Christmas neckties I get.
Yeah.
But I mean, it goes into your garbage, and then it comes to me.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's a level of truth to that. You know, how often, especially in United States, where we're very Western, like, we're very instant gratification, and we're very, unfortunately, very like, what's the word I'm looking for? We're very driven by things.
Materialistic?
Yeah, materialistic. I was thinking of something else too, but
yeah, materialism, instant gratification.
Yeah, and so like we want the latest greatest toy, but then as soon as the new latest greatest toy comes out, like I
want a pony so I can ride it once, get bored, and then send it away to turn into glue.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's interesting to have the Grinch movie bring that up because I think that is a very prominent thing, especially in the United States. We're very driven by things. Yeah, I mean, behind the scenes here a little bit, but like I'm a Sunday school teacher and I just had this conversation with my students at church the other day, talking about how we need to be good stewards of the things we have. And I talked about something as simple as their toys. Mm-hmm. Like, if you have a toy you don't play with anymore, don't just toss it to the side. Like, let's take care of it. And if you don't want it anymore, like, let's give it to someone that will, or donate it, or, like.
And then you have weirdos like me who are still kids at heart and took such good care of them. They're still around.
Really? I hadn't noticed.
I mean, you can't see it on the shelf very well, Kaiju Lovers, but I have a 25-year-old figure. Now, it wasn't originally mine. Someone gave it to me. But that Godzilla 98 up there,
still impressive.
That's 25 years old.
The little boy that I babysit would be very excited to see all of these things.
Oh, dang it. His name is escaping me. Probably shouldn't say it.
Probably not. But yeah.
Yeah. But, so like I said, it gets there. I don't know. Maybe it was because they had to expand it so that, again, we can have some conflict. But the beauty of the book is how much of a contrast there is, because it's supposed to be it's supposed to be very black and white. The Grinch is the villain. The Grinch doesn't understand Christmas. The Grinch hates Christmas.
He's the monster.
He's the monster.
Got to put that in there.
Right. He's the monster. Yeah. The Who's are, I guess you could say the angels, the saints, whatever. They understand what Christmas is really about. And it's the fact that he tries to ruin Christmas for them, but they still find joy on Christmas Day. So he learns that Christmas is transcendent. Mm-hmm. That way, he learns it. And that's what makes that, like I said, that's what makes the story powerful. There's an innocence to the Who's. It's not just Cindy Lou. It's all of them.
Right.
And that's missing here. It's really just Cindy Lou. And again, like I said, obviously the rest of the Who's are nowhere close to being the Grinch.
Yep.
Nowhere close. Even the kind of crooked mayor is nowhere close to being the Grinch.
I'm not sure I agree, but.
Oh, really? You think the mayor is a Grinch?
I think he's a Grinch, but he's just a selfish Grinch. He's very all about himself. I mean, you can tell even just in the way that, like, he proposes to
Martha May
Whovier or whatever her name.
Yeah, you got it right.
But yeah, I just think like there's a lot of selfishness there, and that can be very Grinch-like as well. He may not hate Christmas, but like there's issues there too.
Right. But like I said, I still wouldn't put him on the same level. I don't think he necessarily hates people. I think he's annoyed with people, and he wants his way.
Well, because he's selfish. I
Right.
mean, he's very obviously antagonistic towards the Grinch because he's selfishly like, don't look at my girlfriend, which I sarcastically said to you today. Does she know that?
I'm not sure if she does.
Kind of thinking he just claimed her.
The muscles.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah.
The Grinch has been walking out. It's about Crumpet. He has a gym. And nobody sees it.
Yeah, you do. It's the symbols that he holds together from that little monkey thing.
Oh, from the
when
monkey.
He's trying to, a sedative.
Where's my sedative? Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Grinch.
That would be horrible. Jingle all the way is enough.
Max, bring me my sedative.
I'll be back.
Johnny Duty, blackmail, pink slip.
No.
No.
I would much rather have Johnny Depp than him.
Right. But anyway, so I see what you mean there, but I like I said, it's just one of those things. Like I said, it gets to the lesson of the book.
For sure. Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. I feel like it kind of.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of misses it, even though it gets there. It's weird.
No, I would agree with you. I could see, I guess I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah, it is kind of interesting that like they're making the Who's learn it with him because Cindy's the only one that gets it. I guess I just never thought of it that way, but yeah, I guess that does kind of lose some of its gusto because then like, I don't know, it doesn't hit the same.
No, it doesn't.
So,
but
yeah, I'll give you that.
So even though I think it stumbles really hard there, if they had left the adult humor out, I think it would have landed a bit better for me as an adaptation.
Well, I mean, I would have liked it better if the adult humor was gone.
Well, yeah, but because it doesn't feel quite Seussian to me, which is why I find it weird that his widow it sounds like she was pretty involved in approving everything. I'm like, and
She
still
was
a few
involved,
things got through.
But she clearly had a problem with that stuff.
Right, but
like,
there were still some things that got through, which is like, why did you let that?
But it may not have been her choice. You know what I mean?
It's
Like she
possible.
might have had some veto power, but clearly even Jim Carrey didn't have veto power.
Well, some of it he just wished I think he wishes he had pushed back. From what I understand.
yeah, but still, like clearly, even Audrey didn't have that much say. So
now, on the other hand, while I have issues with it there, and in those two aspects, this is really the two biggest aspects I take issue with. I will confess, Kaiju Lovers, the cast kind of saves it for me a bit, especially Carrey.
I think Jim Carrey for sure saves it. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know about anybody else.
I mean, I know people have complained about his performance in this movie.
Let's be real. The real MVP of this movie is the 6 dogs that played Max.
This is true. But they were impressive dogs. But I'm just saying,
Brilliant.
I know, brilliant. I know some people take issue with Carrey's performance in this because he's big all the time.
I mean, again,
but that was Jim Carrey doing the Jim Carrey shtick.
But I think
he's
it
big
fits
all the time.
I really do think it fits.
Well, you look at the cartoon and the Grinch is not that over the top by comparison.
No, but I think, when you think about it, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I feel like when you're alone like that and wallowing in self-loathing, it makes sense to me to a certain extent, psychologically speaking, that he would be that big and animated because he has no one else except Max. You know what I mean? And so to be big and over the top is the whole scene with the hello, and the hello back and the echo, like he only had himself. So he had to entertain himself somehow. And so why not be big and eccentric? Because
hello!
Who cares? The dog certainly doesn't care. So I don't know. That doesn't bother me that much, but I'll grant you that to a certain extent, the book obviously wants him to be a little bit more broody.
Yes. He's broody in this, but it's...
Yeah, but not the
But it's
same.
a different kind of broody. It's very loud brooding.
I feel like the broody people probably want, based off of the book, is more Eeyore-esque.
Oh, Eeyore.
But
As opposed to hating the Who's alphabetically.
yes, hate.
It was like, I hate you. Hate, double hate.
Loathe entirely. Wait, you have to get the hand motion.
Entirely. Yes.
With
So
those giant gloves with the things.
with the tufts of hair on it.
I have tufts on my wrist. That's it.
Yeah, which only the people watching the video can
Yes.
see. Yeah.
I'm wearing a Grinch onesie for those of you that are not watching. You missed it.
Yeah, I know you missed quite a bit of it. It's like adult pajamas. And it's soft.
Yes.
It's fuzzy.
That's enough.
Okay. She won't even let me hug her without death threats, okay?
There's a reason I like the Grinch.
Yeah, I've noticed. Are you feeling particularly grinchy today? But anyway, like I said, so I know people take umbrage with that. I admittedly enjoy his performance in this. I'm not so bothered by it because he puts so much into it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Carrey almost never.
But what
Carrey
doesn't he put everything
This
into?
is one of those movies where Carrey just puts 110% in.
You mean he
He's
doesn't do that on every movie?
There's some I would argue, probably not. But he definitely just throws it all in there.
Yeah.
And so I give him a lot of credit. As much as we kind of picked on Little Miss Taylor,
She's a decent actress.
she does well in this as Cindy Lou, probably better than you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
And the other characters are fine for what they're doing and what they're supposed to be. So, so I give the cast credit.
Also, Ron Howard's brother.
I was going to say Ron Howard's brother always makes a cameo.
Do something.
He always he always makes a cameo or just has a small part in his brother's movies.
Yep.
What's his brother's name again?
Ron Howard's brother?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've heard him be interviewed on talk shows. I can't remember it now.
I used to know.
When he was a kid, he was actually on an episode of Star Trek.
Well, all right.
Yeah. They dubbed over him, though, because he's supposed to sound like an adult. It was weird.
Can't be any weirder than you voicing your pseudo sister.
Yeah, there's a reason that joke only worked once.
There's a reason I got hired.
Yes, quite. But anyway, so I think I understand why people either don't like it or it's a mixed bag for them or it's a guilty pleasure, because it's a guilty pleasure for me. But it's not the only Christmas movie guilty pleasure I have. We've mentioned Jingle All the Way. I know it's not a good movie.
It's not.
It's not a good movie. But dagnabbit, Schwarzenegger sells just about anything for me. And I have the Turbo Man.
You want to talk about...
I have the Turbo Man.
Oh my gosh, you had it right here. Oh my word. You want to talk about being materialistic.
Yeah, Jingle All the Way is a very commercial take on Christmas.
Too much glitter.
We don't have time for glitter.
No,
anyway, only my Power Trip listeners will get that. It's a line from Power Rangers. There's no time for glitter.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Oh, wait, that's bronchitis.
What?
You don't remember that viral video from like 10 years ago?
No.
There's this viral... Wow. There's like this viral video from like 10 years ago of some woman getting interviewed because her apartment complex caught on fire. And
that.
People take that little excerpt.
Now I know.
And she has bronchitis. And so she was like made famous on the internet because they took it and turned it into a song. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, okay.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I know what you mean by that now. But, I know one of the things that we do a lot, like I said, is we quote it. Mm-hmm. We quote a lot. I think we've unpacked a lot of the thematic stuff and its strengths and weaknesses as an adaptation. We quote this a lot.
Yeah.
We've already mentioned a lot of it. Like, every time I watch it, I'm like, good Lord, I say that. I just say that all the time. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes we do call and respond with each other throughout the whole year, people. So all I have to do is say, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you?
I asked you first.
I asked you first.
You're an idiot.
You did that wrong.
Oh, okay. What was
Wow.
Wow, I screwed it up. I know that you're an idiot as a part of it.
You're supposed to say, I'm an idiot.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
Repeat it. Yes, you are.
You're an idiot. And then he says, I'm just going to whisper so that by the time it comes back to me, I won't be able to hear it.
You're an idiot.
Which is appropriate because you call me Baka all the time
You're
when you're
not
Crystal Lady.
This is correct.
Which is Japanese for idiot. Or stupid. It's perfect. Well, what are some of your other favorite lines that maybe we haven't talked about tonight?
I definitely have quoted the "It's because I'm green," isn't it?
It's because I'm green, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually went when I first.
It's kind of adultish.
Yeah, yeah. A little bit. But when I first got my Grinch onesie, I went to a Christmas party, and I was at the party, and I definitely was hamming it up. I was quoting the movie a lot. But I remember one of my friends just like kind of was looking at me like, what in the world are you wearing? And I had this moment where I looked at him and there was just silence for a second. And I just looked at him and went, it's because I'm green, isn't it? And he was very confused, but I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then there's one of my favorites is, aren't you going to cuff me? Put me in a chokehold? Blind me with pepper spray.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I definitely, one of them that I think I say a lot is like, Dad, move it. And I definitely
we say that to our dad.
To my dad, yes.
Dad, move it.
I also do when he's on top of Mount Crumpet with the sleigh and he looks at Max and he's like, we did it. And he's like clapping. I do that a lot, especially with our other brother Jared. Like I will say that, and he'll even do it with me. And we both clearly know it's from the Grinch.
Yeah,
so it's just great.
Oh my! There's so many that I keep every time we watch it. I'm like, I say that, or we say it to each other. It's almost too many.
I also have been known to like stub my toe or something and be like, "Owie!"
Which is actually from Liar Liar.
It's actually Liar Liar, but I do think he kind of does it in the Grinch.
No, he does,
but not quite that. I don't think it's quite that accentuated in the Grinch, but it's definitely there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that I quote.
The one that I say a lot is when is like solve world hunger, tell no one.
Yes.
And that's I will just say tell no one. You know, I will say that for lots of things. If I'm telling people they have to keep it secret, it's like tell no one.
But there's definitely little quips that like he says a lot that I have been known to say. I definitely know that like I've done the, but what would I wear? Like gonna go to, I don't know, a wedding or something. But what would I wear? So
that's it. I'm not going.
That's it. I'm not going.
I'm trying to, like I said, there's just a lot of quotable. Most of them are from Carrey.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like Carrey gets all the good lines. Or most of them, anyway.
He didn't get them. He made them.
He made them.
Let's be real.
He did make them.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely quotable. It happens all year. I can't think of some of the other ones, but I mean, yeah, we definitely watch it.
When he's I'm leaking.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm feeling. Oh, that and the sleigh's falling down, and he's like, "Why do I care?"
And I care. Oh,
what is the deal?
Yeah, you say that. When Max is happy to see him after his heart grows 3 sizes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, he's like, okay, that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
One step at a time.
One step at a time.
I think I just said that yesterday. So, yeah, in that voice. One step at a time.
One step at a time.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a quotable movie.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey movies typically are, but yeah.
This one, yeah. Especially since it's more accessible, I would say, for a lot of people. It's more age appropriate, even with the adult humor in it compared to most of Jim Carrey's other stuff.
Yeah, yep.
As much as we love Liar Liar, we're not showing that to kids.
I would be hesitant to even show this to kids just because of the adult humor. I have a friend who's a teacher that said that they're going to watch The Grinch in class this week before break, and I looked at her and I was like, which one though? Like I thought she was going to show the 60s version, and she's like, oh, we're going to watch the new one. And I was like, why? But yeah, no, definitely Jim Carrey would be a rough one to show to a class of fourth graders. So
Possibly the 60s version is probably the best one to go with. Besides, you can finish that in one class period.
You could finish it in one class period and read the book. And duh. But that's all right. That's all right.
Make them read the book, then you should watch the
If there's any teachers listening, there you go. You're welcome.
For sure. So, I mean, yeah, you got any more thoughts on it? I mean, I think we've covered this pretty thoroughly.
I think so. I think I've gotten out a lot of the things I was thinking of. I definitely was very intrigued this week by the Max thought of him being thrown in the garbage. It was a little depressing.
But it makes a weird sort of sense.
It does. If I had not thrown my phone on the floor earlier, I would probably read you some Grinch jokes before we're done. But
I kind of remember some of them.
Yeah. Well, the one that I think is really clever, but like everybody obviously gets it before the punchline comes out, so there's no dramatic pause really because everybody will get it. But it's the what is the Grinch's least favorite band?
And what's that?
The Who. That's a good one.
Yeah, you read them all to me, and they're all dad joke levels of puns.
Yeah, they definitely are. I think there was one about like why does the elf always look mad? And it's because he has a resting Grinch face. Yeah. Oh, why is the Grinch such a good gardener?
I think this is the one I got.
You did get this one, yeah. He has a green thumb.
He's a green thumb, yeah. Because that's just a variation off of a really old joke.
Yeah, yep.
Really old joke. But there you go. Your Christmas humor for the season? For the season.
I guess, yeah.
Yes, quite. So, I think as much as... I mean, for those of you who are watching the video, you can see this. As much as I have foibles with this movie, as much as I think it falters as an adaptation of the book, at least it's better than this piece of garbage.
Mm-hmm.
For those who can't see, it's the poster for The Mean One. An unofficial, quote-unquote, adaptation of The Grinch that's getting away with it because they're citing the parody clause of copyright law.
The unmitigated gall.
The unmitigated gall. The audacity. The unmitigated gall. Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel very compelled to write an entire article, blog post, or whatever talking about this trend because this is not the only one.
No.
Famously, I think this was announced first. It took a really long time for it to not to get made, but to get distributed. It just was released. It's even playing here in town. I was shocked to find that out. I thought it was too obscure for people to care, but
it's just so sad. Like
I should say this is a horror movie, quote unquote, adaptation that they labeled as a parody to get away with it. But there was another one that's Winnie the Pooh. It's called Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. And then I found out that there's another one that's based on the Wizard. Well, I just saw the trailer for it, and it looked really stupid. It was based on the Wizard of Oz, but it's like a pseudo sequel to the Wizard of Oz. But it's about Dorothy's granddaughter, and Dorothy is a crazy old woman in a nursing home. And
it's just so sad to me that like we can't come up with anything new.
It's not only that.
So we take a children's classic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're doing it because they think by now those people that loved those things as children are now adults that would get into the horror. But like,
I don't want to get too much into it because I'm going to save that for my blog post, but I think there's a level of cynicism that goes to it. There's a level of like, I want to be an edgelord and turn the wholesome kids stuff into the worst thing ever. I mean, there's not a shred of creativity in this. It's just a slasher movie.
Yeah.
There's 10 million of these things.
Yeah.
It's just a slasher movie with a pseudo Grinch in it.
It's very unfortunate.
Which is what's what this Winnie the Pooh one looks like it's going to be too. It's just a slasher movie. Mm-hmm. Again, sorry for bumping the mic. It's just a slasher movie with a children's character in it. They can't even do something interesting with it.
Yeah.
I mean, and with the Wizard of Oz one, I think what is it? I think it's called Gale. Something or other. There's a subtitle. And
Okay.
I mean, at least with the Wizard of Oz, there's some horror elements baked into that cake already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? American Fairy Tale, we have witches, we have monsters, weird things. It's baked into the cake. There's still some scenes in the original movie that are actually flying monkeys. I mean, it's scary. Okay?
I actually knew a woman who was terrified of the movie because of the flying
Flying
monkeys.
monkey. They go to the haunted forest, and they're afraid of spooks. I mean, it's baked into the cake.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Yeah, oh my. The Grinch? Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah.
Those don't have horror elements baked into it. It's just it's nothing but shock value. It's just edginess for the sake of being edgy. And I will leave it at that. I have zero interest in ever seeing this unless I'm basically forced to do it if I hang out with the right friends. But I'm going to warn them. It's like, if you're going to make me watch that, you are going to have to just cut me loose and let me riff it. That is the only way I will put up with it. I have to make fun of it if you insist on watching it.
No.
And if we're going to watch it, you're paying for it because I'm not giving a dime to this thing.
I wouldn't even give it that.
Well, that is the only way anyone does. Be it known, that is the only way you're going to get me to say it. So if any of you crazy patrons try to talk me into covering this on the podcast, the answer is no. I don't care how much you pay me. Pick something else.
Brilliant.
I have principles.
Yep.
I have principles. Anyway, unless you have anything else to add to
I do not.
that unfortunate thing. Here, for those who are watching, here are my sources. I need to add the article that you were referencing earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think I'll add that to the podcast version. And when I make the public version of this for the YouTube channel. So we'll probably expand on this a little bit. But I do, and I might add the special features from the DVD and Blu-ray because I'm guessing a lot of the information that we talked about is in those too.
Yeah, probably. Yep.
Because I think I've watched those before, so I know there's a lot of the same stuff in there. So I'll probably add those too. It's a pretty decent release too, I have to say, for the film.
Yeah.
But people don't appreciate physical media anymore. It
I bought
disappoints me.
another copy, so
Yes.
I definitely appreciate physical. I don't even have a Kindle. I love to read, but I got physical books.
Did you know WALL-E just
Paper.
got released on the Criterion Collection?
Really? Interesting.
I want it. But I love Pixar.
Yeah.
Well, I love what Pixar was. I think Pixar lost its way. Like a lot of studios.
It happens.
It's so tragic.
Anyway.
So tragic. Anyway, with that, I think we will move on to the Patreon exclusive portion where I interview my sister about playing a superheroine on this podcast, which is something that still astonishes me, but we'll get into that. So, thank you for joining us. If you want to check out my other podcasts, check out Henshin Men and the Power Trip. If you want to get a hold of me on the podcast, if you want to get a hold of me, the email address, the contact information, links to the website and all that will be mentioned in the credits. You can also find the links to those in the show notes. Is there anything you would like to plug before we go?
Watch The Grinch.
Alrighty. Because you don't do stuff on the
I
internet.
do not. Not really.
Not really.
Nope.
You're a talented photographer, though.
Thank you. I don't sell anything yet, though, so. Oops.
One step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time.
One
Gosh
step at a
darn it. Yeah.
All right. With that, we'll move on to the Patreon section. Thank you for joining us, and Merry Christmas. Want to say anything to the lovely listeners?
Happy Hanukkah.
Moving on. Thank you for listening to the Monster Island Film Vault, a podcast produced and hosted by Nate Marchand. If you want to join the discussion and be heard on the show, we'd love to hear from you. So email us at feedback@monsterislandfilmvault.com. Our website is monsterislandfilmvault.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Monster Island Film Vault, and on Twitter, where our handle is @TheMonsterIsla1. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, and TikTok. Follow Jimmy from NASA on Twitter @NASAJimmy, and our many other colorful characters using the links in the show notes. The podcast logo was created by Tyler Souls from TylerDrawsComics.com.
Our theme song is Wanderer on the Offensive, live edit by B33J, Serax, Juan Madrono, and Nonsensical Lexus, which is a remix of Counterattack Battle with the Colossus and The Opened Way Battle with the Colossus by Kootani from the video game Shadow of the Colossus. All film and audio clips belong to their respective copyright holders and no infringement is intended or implied. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and or Podchaser to spread the word about the show. You can also support us by joining MIFV Max on Patreon. The Monster Island Film Vault is a Moonlighting Ninjas media production. Sayonara!